SATSANG 1. Quebec, December 2nd, 2019. So, we will now start the SATSANG. Which is going to be, as I said, it's December 2nd. It is December 2nd and we will begin this SATSANG with your testimonies, as I was saying. So, you're invited, invitees first, to come and sit down. Sister. And don't we start with Paul? Oh, yes, Paul first. Excuse me, please. You had something to say about our friend Paul, who had to leave last night, because of major family constraints. And Johanna received a message this morning from Paul, which she will simply read to us. Silence. Sister, you didn't tell us why you were here. Why, what for? Sister, why you were here. You made us say why we were here, but you didn't say why you were here. Here where? Sister, here. Sister, here and now. Sister, you don't understand. Say it again. Why are you coming to see us? I heard that. Sister, you heard but you don't understand why I'm asking you this. Let me think about it. Well, because the intelligence of the light has decided it. As I said, I never decide anything. That is, now what is happening must happen, and it is the brothers and sisters of all countries who are calling me. I'm going, I'm not asking myself any questions. Where I am is where I need to be. In fact, Omrayam had said it, I think a lot, it didn't escape them, that I was going to become a homeless person. Brothers and sisters, a nomad. A nomad. I think we've already done a lot this year. It's just part of what I would call bringing the good news, if you will. Agape's good news is all. And that the places where I am asked to come, whether it is Canada, Portugal or other countries, such as Belgium or elsewhere, or those I will do next year, are places where people simply come to announce this good news. And I would say, well, many have noticed it, in all the countries where we go, there are always some very special things happening, either before we arrive, or while we are in, or just as we leave. But I'm not doing anything. Be well aware that I have no intention of acting on anything, except to be present when asked, that's all. I have no other objective than to be there. We are no longer in a teaching, as I was saying, we are no longer in a kind of mapping of countries to go through in order to achieve this objective, no. I try as much as possible, in my life, to lead what is. It doesn't mean I don't do anything, it just means I am available for what happens. And that I am what happens. No questions asked. Whatever the constraints, because I don't hide from you that we are at the end of the year and we have traveled a lot. So with a little physical fatigue, which is normal. But that's the way I see things and live them, already for some time now, it's letting what is. It does not mean that you no longer have any desire or will, but simply that you put your desire and will behind you. To lead work, really, what has been called the intelligence of light, or what Bernadette Montreal called the creative intelligence, is the same thing. To let things be, because that's how you live agape. The more you let go of what you value, the more you receive. That is what we called, with a rather strong term, if I may say so, the sacrifice, which was linked to the resurrection. It is to allow the light, the intelligence of light, the creative intelligence, to show you that you are this intelligence of light. And that we are anterior to any form, to any world. That's how we discover that, as Bhatti said, consciousness is a huge scam. It is she who created the dream, who maintains the dream and perpetuates it. And, as I said, even before the first dream, there had to be a resolution of the dream in that first dream. We cannot sleep, when we are incarnate. Now, if I take our example, we cannot sleep all our lives. We sleep at night or we don't sleep, but we sleep a few hours. Here, what we call agape, joy, this natural state, is also waking up from the illusion of a person. But there is no need to fight the person. There is simply this posture of acceptance, embracing, crossing, which makes it possible to live it. So I have no objective other than to be where I am asked to be. Because I know very well and I have the formal proof that if I let things be, well, they are done without me. Of course, I'm here. But what is important is that all the others are there, it's not me. If I were, it would be useless. So in all the countries where we have been, whether with former brothers and sisters, as in Tunisia because they were long-time friends, or in places I have never been to, as in Portugal, every time, we simply live what is to be lived. And as I told you not to expect anything, I don't expect anything, I just make myself available. And it is this availability to life that makes you free. You give more time to life than to your life, and that's how you transcend. You go through your character with all the human sides, the suffering, the illness, the family problems. All the problems that can exist within the illusion are no longer seen and experienced in the same way. All the learning, if you will, of agape is to let the intelligence of light be. It is no longer just the affirmation of the I am or I am one, since the I am is a total scam too. Since you predate the I am, you're anterior to being one. We're the non-being. We're the creator, if you will, but we're also the devil himself. There's no one there. And how do you expect to live the fact that there is no one, if you put your person in front? At any level. Of course, the person, he will always be there, until the end. When I drive a car, I drive it. When I buy a plane ticket, I buy it myself. But always at the service of the impersonal. And the more you accept that, the more you are enjoying, the more you realize that everything that caused suffering, illness, financial and emotional problems, of any kind, do not evaporate, but are seen for what they are. And joy remains, whatever the suffering. But this joy, as I said last night, is not a permanent Hippocratic smile, it is a kind of intrinsic joy, which happens inside, which no longer depends on any circumstance. And at that moment, you're really free and you can only see the progression of that facility, that fluidity, from the moment you have abandoned yourself to what you are and that you do not know, but that you can only recognize, at the moment it happens. Our only goal, when I say our only goal, is also yours and mine, to not expect anything but to be available, to be there, quite simply. And the miracle, the magic happens by itself. But for that to happen, there must be no personal will. Remember, everything you care about, you care about. Love is free. He is not attached to anything, to any form, to any world. And that's where we remember. And this is where we live agape, with more and more certainty, with more and more evidence, no matter what happens on the screen of our lives. And it's a relief, and it's a relief, and it's a great freedom. That's the agape state, the natural state, that's all it is. So, we will now listen to Johanna, who will read us the message she received from Paul, who left last night in an emergency. Please come to the microphone, because it's recorded here. You have to come and sit there. Let everyone hear and especially let it be recorded. Johanna. And probably it wasn't long ago that Paul had left to arrive home, because it was at 9:55 p.m. yesterday that I got the message. He said to me, "Johanna, I am so happy with the way everything went. I couldn't believe my eyes, in quotation marks. Thank you, your intervention was brilliant, it is luminous even without words. So, as I hear, I give you the names. Thank you again, I am much better than before. Greetings to Eves. If there's anything else, I won't be far from the computer. See you later. Agape." I answered him. "But deep down," he says to me, "but deep down, it's all of us here." That's all that resonated with agape with him and then you, which you did too. It means that it's still fast, if we look at how Paul, when he arrived, and a few hours later, that beautiful message he wrote to us. I told him there's probably going to be a sequel to that. Sister, is he coming back? Johanna, we don't know that. We let go and then he will live what the great life will have decided for him what he has to live. I thought it was good too, thank you. Thank you, Johanna. So, then we'll ask Yves to come and tell us a little bit, tell us his story. Yves, I've been waiting a long time for this moment. But before share some of the 2019 stories, I want to share with you a story from 20 years ago. But there is a link with the 2019 experience. You know, when you go to bed at night, that's where we often make our requests before going to sleep. And that night, I asked, "Father, I want to see and feel you." I fell asleep on that. The next morning was a normal day, I had forgotten what I had asked for the day before. Then I was having lunch, reading my newspaper, my eyes crossed a plant through the patio door. Now I was focusing on the plant. No matter how much I looked at my newspaper, my eyes were back on the plant. Now I felt something inside me. Then I started to wonder. Why am I focusing like this on a plant, a simple plant? Then it told me. Start at the beginning. The beginning of what? The plant, it grows, yes, but how the plant grows? That's when it told me. Okay, start at the beginning. For a plant to grow first, it takes a seed. Okay, well, what do we do with the seed? We put it in the ground. We put water in. The plant, it grows. It does more than grow, the plant. How it grows? How is it possible that it comes out of the plant tissue and then it does itself? That's me, that's me, that's me. Then there, I saw, the cells are young plants. I thought to myself, there are cells, probably cells together, a construction of cells, an organization of cells talking to each other, because there is a code in the little seed that tells the cells, you will make a plant. Then, the plant I had chosen at that time was the daisy. The daisy that everyone knows. A daisy. There I see the plant growing, the plant tissue coming out of the ground, okay. Now I think to myself, how the cells come to make this plant tissue. The stem that comes out, the axis of the plant, it starts to come out, then in my head I think to myself, how they are able to make it. Now. Then it grows, it's a color, green color. Then there, at some point, there are cells thinking, there is a leaf coming up there. They are able to make a sheet, okay. They are not mistaken, it is a daisy sheet. Now, it continues, then the cells say to themselves, there is another leaf on that side, they make it, the leaf. Then it continues. Then there, at some point, there are other cells that say, this is the flower to make. There, they start to build the flower that is round. Then there's another color coming up. How do cells do it to make colors? I think it's beautiful, I am a little confused, you know. Okay, I'm carried by this and then it goes on. They make the flower, then in the flower, it is all the small seeds that are aligned next to each other. Then to make the flower more beautiful for insects, they will make petals. Petals, you know how soft they are, it's like paper, a sweetness. They make petals. There is a third color coming up, white. The cells, they make it all by themselves, the colors, the shape. I'm tripping on this, I'm carried by something. Now, I see, the creation is beautiful. In reality, creation is carried within us. We're the daisy, we're that. I'm tripping over this. I'm carried by something. Then, during the day, I remembered that the day before, I had asked, Father, I want to see you, to feel you. That's when I made the connection. Father introduced himself to me through creation. I want to see you, I'll show you there, simply by creation. And I want to see and feel you. I wore that there, that intensity there, for a week. It's beautiful to create, what we are. Then I'll tell you about it. I close the parenthesis. I come back in 2019, this week, the week we spent here together in June. How beautiful it was. I didn't necessarily realize, the effects, all that it brings, the fact that you were here, it's after it happened. Then I have to digress to talk to you about birds. Laughs. Yes, birds. You know the ones who were here at the first meeting there. I like birds now. I am a bird lover, then a photographer. I've been passionate about birds for years. Alright. Then I write down my bird observations, because there is a site on the internet called Bird. There are hundreds and hundreds of ornithologists sending data. We make an outing, the time of arrival. So many species of birds. Then Bird, it records everything for us. Then, to motivate ornithologists to go out more, they made the top 100. The top 100, if you collect the most species, you go up in the ranking. But what it did there, it made me addicted to birds. The word is not strong enough. It had become an obsession. An obsession. I could go out at 4:30 in the morning to go to the birds, come back at 5 inches in the afternoon, give Johanna a little kiss, after that, take my binoculars and then look in my yard at what were the birds there. It had become a drug for me. Then, after our stay here, the next 2 or 3 weeks, it burned out. The intelligence of light consumed this obsession. There was no more. The top 100 there, your name is there, Yves Duggar, then there, all of a sudden, better than him. You know, the competition was there. Then the fact that I came here in June, that it helped us in the present moment, our habits took a hit. When we came, our habits were no longer there, it was something else. I realized that this helped me to be in the present moment. Then when we are in the present moment, what happens? We're available for the light. When we are available for the light, what happens? The light finds us. She found me. She found me on July 12, a day like any other. I go to bed early, in July, so it gets dark quite late. To stretch the time, around 9 o'clock, let's suppose, I go to the TV, I take the controller and then I peek on the peaks, I peek on the posts and then I eat. Then there's not much, 2-3 minutes at one station, 2-3 minutes at another station. Now I'm sitting in the chair in the living room. There are windows in our house, there are flowers everywhere, you know how there are flowers everywhere in our house. My eyes cross the daisy tail from the front. That's when it started for me. It just happened. With such intensity. This love was there. It was there for me. This love, as you said Maria, is so beautiful, there are no words. It's so good to live, it was there for me. And if it was there for me, it was there for each of you. It was so intense, I cried like a child. You know, the expression, crying hot tears, I felt the warmth of my tears on my cheeks. It lasted minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes. It was so beautiful, so good, there are no words. I can tell you, after that, life is no longer the same. It's so easy. It's so easy. The circumstances, I changed my vehicle, the circumstances that made me have such a vehicle, I won't tell you about it, I don't want to dwell too long. It's so beautiful. This love that is there, there is so much love. I'll repeat your words earlier, it was overflowing. Then it overflows again, then it overflows for each of you, then that's agape. The love that is there, all the time, the love for each of you. That's right, agape. That's not all, I have another experience to share with you. On August 11th, I fell in love, on August 11th, with a beautiful brunette. In my early 60s, I fell in love with Johanna. It's good to be in love with Johanna, I love her abundantly. You see how the light is good for us. It's so good to live this. That's what I had to share with all of you. You're so beautiful. You're that love, each of you, you're that. Those who don't live it yet, it's just that you haven't recognized yourself yet, that's all. You're all that love. It's so beautiful. Me, my everyday life has made life, it's easy for me. The character is still there. Johanna and I still have some intimacy, but it doesn't last long, we see that it's the character. We talk about it. Look, the character who plays tricks on us. We are able to stop Johanna, but we can laugh about it. Ives, yes, we are able to laugh about it. That's what I had to share with you today. Thank you for being here. I love you. I love you. Sister, we too. Ives, there was a sentence you told me once, we made a video about love, it was a sentence, sister, love can do anything. If you don't speak loud enough, there's nothing being recorded. Feel free to raise your voice. Ives, I'm going to say it. Yes, I'll say it. But after that, there's a sentence I really like to say. Love changes everything. Love changes everything. The concerto, love changes everything. The more the character disappears, the more the light takes over. The light is good for us. The light, it gives us more than we thought. It's beautiful. Thank you for being here. That's what I had to share with you today. Thank you. Thank you, Ives. Applause. So, for technical reasons, I am changing the place, that is, whoever comes to testify will come and take my place so that everyone can see it and at least it will be recorded. Because there were some passages a little bit where it didn't record anything. Who wants to come and tell us about it? That's it. That's it. Come on. Come on. I'll leave the place. If I have to say anything, I'll come back and talk to the microphone. Sister, okay. So you do the satsang, I don't do anything. Laughs. Sister, well, when I came in May, no, in June, in May, I had made a request to go to a senior's residence. It didn't work, there was no room and all that, so I waited. There was nothing that forced me to leave. I didn't even know why I made that decision, because I could have stayed where I am, I'm fine. So I get a phone, 2-3 months later. I had made a request, I went to fill my request with my criteria, what I wanted, 4th floor, view on the gardens, actually. I got a call and they told me, we have an apartment for you. I went to see, it was totally out of the question. First floor, street view, traffic, ambulances and the whole kit. Now, I said, what am I doing here? I said, I'll accept it. This is what the light presents to me, I will accept it. The people who were there didn't leave because the family decided not to move them. So I came back home and said, I'm totally letting go, that's what it will be. We live in the present moment, one day at a time. And the gentleman who rents the apartments, he calls me, he says, I think I have something for you that might suit you. I'm going to check out the apartment. I have twice as much as I asked for at the beginning. It's unimaginable. Everything, everything, everything. I had no parking because there was no free parking, so they found me a parking lot. I have everything, 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 more than I need. So I decided that I was giving away quite a bit of everything I had, furniture and all that. I don't need anything anymore. When you go to residence, you don't need anything. I tell my son, this is my last move. He says, no, he says, your last one, Mom, it's going to be for the cemetery. I said, I don't think I'm going to go there. Laughs. Sister. So, it's to testify to you that when you let go, when you give up, it's incredible what happens. These are miracles. And I am a very, very controlling person. Here, my condo is for sale. Last week, they decided to do a staging. Everything is packed. I'm here and the whole team of painters are here to redo the condo, the staging. The condo isn't sold yet, but who cares? It will sell when it sells. And if it doesn't sell, it won't sell, that's all. And lately, too, I'm moving on the 12th of December. Imagine. I'm coming here, all the letting go I did there, I don't recognize myself. Normally, I would have stayed there, because you have to control what's going to happen. Are you going to be well done all this time? I'm here, I closed the door, I don't even want to think about it, I just want to be here, in the present moment, the rest doesn't matter. 3 weeks ago, my son lost his job after 24 years, and then he is very sick. And then he came home, and then he wanted to kill himself. It was hard to live through that. I made a request for residence there, then a gape. 24 hours later, it wasn't the same guy, he had changed completely. It's another miracle. Then he is encouraged, then he is no longer in that state. Always when you let go of the fact that it's happening. It means a lot to me to see all the miracles that are happening around me, and I am sure that here, since June, there are many who have lived miracles as well. I say miracles, but it's a gape, it's love, it's, as Jean Luc so often says, everything we hold, holds us. Then we can no longer care about anything. But in practice, in life, in personality, we still have small things to do. And I put them down, one by one. Then I don't know why I'm going to that residence. I have no expectations, nothing. All I know is that I want to live in the present and then radiate the light to all those elderly people who are really in fear, in anguish and all that. There are many people who live in fear of dying in these places. I will mingle with all these people and then be available for those who need me. That's all. That's all. Thank you. Applause. I will add only one word, to illustrate what Eve said earlier, it is the light that finds us. Your person can never find it, he will never find it. Whatever the energies, whatever the vibrations. That is the fundamental principle of sacrifice. It is accepting to let it be what it is. Abandon the need to control, the need to look, the need to decide. To confide totally in the light, without asking for anything. And as our friend, our sister, said, it is, at that moment, the gifts, the miracles of agape are in overabundance. And it is by living it, not by planning or trying to conceptualize it or find a technique. It is by accepting that it is already there, that it manifests itself. But remember, you can't find the light, it's the light that finds you. It is a kind of reversal of total consciousness. That's the sacrifice, that word I used that was a little strong, that's all it was. And as Eve said, as you tell us, it's something so simple. All you had to do was think about it. However, the so-called evolutionary, vibratory path of consciousness cannot make you live it. It takes you to the self, it takes you to visions, it takes you to vibrations, your consciousness, but it never allows you to leave the dream. What you both have already said, and there will be others, is always the same thing. The more you let go, the more the intelligence of the light manifests itself. The more you accept that, by yourselves, as persons and even as souls or spirits, you can do nothing but the light can do everything. That is the true meaning of sacrifice. You have to live it because you cannot accept it spontaneously. It is important to be informed that this is possible. That is what we are doing, already, the good news, and then it is up to each of you, in your life, in the challenges. Suicide, moving, money problems, health problems, which you have, the opportunity today, the most extraordinary opportunity, to live what is to be lived, that is, what you are. It is not by opposing, or fighting, or wanting to control, or want to change things. That's acceptance and embrace. The light asks only one thing, it is to find you, as the truth is said. But stop looking, because research is a projection, it corresponds to a lack, it corresponds to a desire, even the most noble desire. But no desire can hold up before the light's own desire to make you find yourself. We will continue the testimonies, and so, on a practical level, you will come here and I will stand there. I hear 10 times better. The next one. No, I'll take my chair, don't move. Sister. Jean, look, change places, stay here. No, I'd rather be here, I have the speaker. So. Brother. Hello. Even if I am a newcomer, I still started to live off something yesterday here and I would like to share it with you. Thank you. Brother. It's because when we climbed the SATSANG, we in Quebec City made a mistake, we made a loop. Then, before, on a sign we saw a loop. It's like this, coming here. There, Johanna tells us, you have room 206. Oh. That's the 8 and it's still the loop. Then I'll sit on the couch, there with 35 cents next to it, 3, 5, 8, the loop. I said, I'm the movement, I told you earlier, Okay, I understood. I said, now, what we're all going to live through this week is a loop. The circle is complete. The alpha joins the omega. Brother. That's what we're going to be living. Of course. Brother. That's why I was shown these signs. Thank you. Applause. Come on. Next. Next. Do not hesitate. I told you, you're the one who runs the SATSANG. Sister. Come on, Jean-Claude. Come on, Jean-Claude. Brother. Jean-Claude, Jean-Claude. Brother. I was touched by the previous testimonies. Thank you. Thank you. For those who were there for the June meeting, everyone knows that it was an intense, very intense moment. There was one after that. And simply, regardless of my will, of course, when I wake up in the morning. Because for me, that's where it happens. For reasons that don't belong to me. I'm surprised every time that happens. So there is a presence, which has a form but it is so ethereal. But I am sure one thing, I have no doubt who is there. But the form is so transparent, so subtle, but the certainty is there. Then Sandra Maria is there. It lasted for a moment and then, I am surprised, but in gratitude. Then in my surprise, I say to myself, wow, that's how it works. Oh yes. Yes. How you can't welcome these moments, you know. So I say thank you to Sandra Maria, and then I also say thank you to all those who, in their testimonies, will come to speak for this audience that we do not see but which is there by listening. And, it's very enlightening what we can receive through the testimonies. I understand, Jean. Look, yes, we don't run after the light, it runs after us, it takes care of that. Personally, I want to thank you, Jean. Look, for the work you do, which is not a job. It's not a job. That's what I was going to say. Brother. No, it's not a job. I already wrote it to you. You're a catalyst that is very effective. I asked for care, not long ago, from a friend who was in danger. A deep depression then, it was difficult for him, but really. And what happened? A surprise. He momentarily wanted to leave home, because he had just lived through a separation and it was difficult. Then through the care he has received, he does not know that he has received care, but somehow he sees that there has been a change. It's much less heavy. He went out of his house to meet people outside. Then, quite curiously, he met people who welcomed him into his life, complete strangers. He says, Jean-Claude, it felt good. Through the journey that is made, by everyone, whether it is difficult or easy, but before becomes easy it is often difficult. She tells us, don't let go, don't let go. The light is there and then it manifests itself in a time that is not the time desired by the ego. It's better than that. It's a surprise, really. So thank you to those who have passed through here, thank you to those who will pass after me. Yes, then know that you are loved very, 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 very much. Applause. No, just. You see, the testimonies, whether here or everywhere, each according to different theatrical scenes, of the ego, of our personal life, we all say the same thing. We are all catalysts of love from the instant we disappeared from ourselves, not by fleeing from something but by accepting it. That's what's evident. But until you live it, it's out of reach. But if you accept it, you will live it instantly, suddenly. And you can't do anything like Eve's, like you, Jean-Claude or etc. Wow. That's right, wow, the light is here. She doesn't need me, that's what I am this light. There's no ego valuation in there. Because, as I said, it is only through humility, simplicity that love finds you. Absolutely not in a quest or a desire or a will or a vibratory rise, even if it was essential to touch this spirit consciousness, the self, the I am. But then, cross it, don't stop there. To disappear to oneself is not to run away from one's life, it is simply to cross it. And as you say, both of you, to see that the light is there, really and concretely. There's nothing to ask him. Because she will always know better than you what you need. What you need. Not to acquire anything, not to solve anything, even if there is an acquisition, even if there is a resolution, but above all, to make you remember. Remember last year, the Lighthouse of Humanity, Quebec, the motto, I remember. Yes, remember who you are. Pure light, pure love beyond the worlds and all forms. And your life, as Madeline said earlier, as you expressed it, you will only see the permanent gifts of the light. And it's getting stronger, month after month. In the journeys we make, in the testimonies of brothers and sisters from all over the world. It is something that is more and more striking, more and more simple. That is the truth. When you live this state, even for a minute, what does it matter to you to come from such a place or to go to such a place? It doesn't mean anything anymore. That's what it is when we meet again. It puts an end, as Bhatti said, to the spiritual quest. Of course, there have been great beings who have passed through this earth. Of course, we relied on them. Of course, they helped us to find each other. But when we meet again, really, we no longer need all these so-called spiritual, vibratory, energetic settings. We're in a natural state. And you can only be fulfilled, beyond all hope, as well as all despair. It is infallible, it is systematic, it is constant. But it's so simple. It's so simple that we've forgotten it. And then, the vicissitudes, the occupations of this world, of society itself, has always done everything for, unconsciously or consciously, no matter. Whether there are predators or unconscious, it doesn't change anything, it's us to drift us, to make us forget that. It's the game of the theater stage, the video game as I say. But it's over now. As you said, the first 3 or 4 people who spoke out, as soon as you accept, as soon as you say yes, it is over, really and concretely. But it seems so simple for someone who thinks he can control his wallet, his life, his loves that he can't live it. Accept it. Don't ask yourself what you accept, say yes. If you need a qualifier afterwards, it is yes to life, yes to truth, yes to love and you will see the results. They are immediate. There is no karma in there, there is no waiting for a delay, it is instantaneous and it becomes more and more instantaneous. The more available you are, the more humble you are, the more lucid and present you are. In other words, they are totally inserted in the present instant, as Madeline said earlier. We all have imperatives or things to do afterwards, but being available is also that. It means being able to insert oneself into the instant independently of tomorrow, whatever it may be, happy or unhappy. Regardless of any memory, whatever it may be. True liberty, it is there and it is the truth. It is not my truth, it is the truth that is common to everyone. And it is for everyone, the same truth. There is no other one. Everything else is a movie. Everything else is part of the dream. Everything else is part of what we agreed to play. And remember, whatever your age, whatever your abundance or restrictions at whatever level, that's exactly, individually what we needed to achieve that. But we can't understand it before. It's incomprehensible, it's unacceptable to the ego. That is precisely the challenge. This is precisely what proves to you that you are the light. And that you are not this suffering, that you are not the suffering of this body, of your life, of the theater scene. And that's how you accept it, since we don't have a choice to be in the dream anyway, but we know we're dreaming. And that changes everything. Because at that moment, availability is total. Openness, embrace, acceptance, it is total. So, of course, it's not always pink 100% of the time. We all have things to solve, to play on this theater stage, but we are never fooled again. We are not fleeing reality, we're inside, fully inside but stripped of projection, stripped of yesterday's stories, the day before yesterday, the world's, it doesn't matter. And as I have said and I repeat it and as you yourself say, as the few testimonies that have already taken place, you can only remember, you can only find yourself, it is unstoppable and infallible. That's the good news. You do not need energy, you do not need spirituality, you do not need Christ, you do not need Buddha, you do not need a master, you simply need to be yourself, registered in the present instant. Everything else is done automatically and without you but through you. And the results, on the theater stage, are immediate. The more you let go, the more you receive. The more you say yes, the more satisfied you are. You don't need energy, that's it. You no longer need a vibratory rise, it's over. You no longer need to know the gates, the stars, the chakras, the history of creation. Because the solution and the key, it was given in the present instant. So, of course, the people who talk about the present instant, well, there are people who are more competent than us. Eckhart Tolle, for example, has written masterpieces on the present moment. All these were keys that were given to us, such as the OD, I am, is, AL, such as the Metatronic keys, such as saying your last name, your first name, such as doing the breathing movement at the head. They are alibis, in a way, but in any case, they bring us closer to this truth. But remember, it's your choice. No master, no so-called external person, no reference, no history, no memory, no projection, no state of consciousness, can take you to the truth. It is the light that finds you, it is not you who finds it. Humility and truth is to recognize this and, above all, to live it. It's not a concept. Understanding is the lived experience, as Bhatti has been asserting for months and months. It's your availability right now. Your transparency, your lucidity that makes the truth. But you can't help it. On the other hand, you can place yourself, through the experience of life and what happens to you. Whether it's a move, a pseudo-suicide or a big problem like Paul yesterday, that gives you the lived experience. It is something that must be crossed, not by fighting, not by deciding but by accepting. And at that moment, as Eve said, the light finds you in its entirety. And as I said and I repeat, you can only recognize yourself. At that moment, you are no longer fooled by any future, any world or any situation. You found each other, really. There's nothing else, it's so simple. It is so simple, it is the moment when today, on Earth and not only, in all worlds, in all universes, in all dimensions, this happens. As I said yesterday, we were over the end of the chain, if I may say so, the dump, the densest dimension, and it is in us that the dream is realized, it is in us that the truth is realized. There is no effort to be made. Remember that the intelligence of light is easy, it is fluid, it is evident, it could not be simpler. Accept it, say yes and you live it. There is no need to increase the vibratory frequency, there is no need to have visions, there is no need for explanation. The lived experience is the explanation. And everyone can live it. It is not reserved for a few masters, or a few initiates, or a few individuals who have raised the vibrations to touch superconsciousness. Remember, even if today it seems complex to you for those who don't live it or discover it, that it's terribly simple, it's terribly simple. Say yes. Don't hold on to anything if you want, be available especially. And the light finds you. Sister. I don't want to, go sit down. Do as I ask. Sister, I have the impression that, yes, that's what it is. All those who testify, I find you so humble. There you go. Sister, so, Probably now it's time for me to make a jump. I've been going through some pretty special things lately, for about 10 days. There have been others before, of course. But here, it was so special that at one point I started writing and then I sent it to my stepchildren, I sent it to my friends who were closer. And when I arrived here, I asked Marianne for help. I thought she'd be the one reading this. The further the meeting goes this morning, the more I think to myself, it doesn't make sense to read this, you know. Why don't you go and testify like the others? Then, I don't know what's going on. I'll do my best to summarize it for you, because I don't remember much of anything. I have a lot of difficulty expressing myself, normally, except in writing. The more you let yourself out spontaneously, the easier it's going to be. Sister, yes, well, yes. Then, sometimes, I have had some small experiences lately with my doctor anyway. I couldn't believe, on the phone, that I could be so clear. It was obvious. Until you tell him, listen carefully, where were you before you were born? Laughs. Sister, because she couldn't believe to see a plong, and then how? That's because I refused to have a biopsy in a hurry. I had to go the next day for a spinal dollar biopsy and then I knew what it was. My husband had bone marrow. Sister, bone marrow, yes. Okay, excuse me, thank you. So, that's it. About 10 days ago, I was very, very tired. And then we met, a few of us, to do some painting, and then, I really didn't have the taste, but I went to see them and, they realized that I wasn't as usual. So there is a couple. I live in a unit in a building. There are 120 units. It is not a residence, for example. So I have a couple of friends who are doing Reiki. So they offered me 6 Reiki treatments so that I could come to the meeting, because 10 days ago, I was really not sure could come here. So I had my 10 treatments, my 6 treatments, and then it was really effective. But, what happened is that on Friday, that was the Wednesday I was offered that. On Friday, my doctor calls me in the evening to tell me that my tests indicated that I probably had leukemia and that she was asking me to see a hematologist as soon as possible. So she asks me if she can join someone because she is going on a 3-week vacation. Then she would like things to be done quickly. So, since I had read and heard that it was necessary to say yes, 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 I said yes. But now, 15 minutes later, she calls me back to tell me, okay, you have an appointment tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, at the church, in Shedbrook, in Floriment, at 10 a.m. Well, it's for a biopsy. And I knew what it meant. And now I'm asking, because, is the parking lot fixed? Because I have friends who have to go regularly and it's a mess. People don't understand each other anymore, and then, you have to park far from the door, and I didn't feel the energy for that. In any case, while I was asking these questions, there it really was, I was inspired, I was really inspired. So I told her, you know it, doctor, I'm ready to go now, I'm not afraid of death. Don't worry. Never feel responsible, I won't make you miserable, don't be afraid. Now she is saying, she was very, very, very keen on it. I told her, anyway, you know, we don't have that much time to live on the planet. Laughs. Sister, well, she didn't understand too much. Laughs. Sister, well, she says, you look so sure yourself. So much, she was, like, a little stunned, then so was I. Laughs. Sister, she says, but how can you be like that, you know? Well, I told her, did you ever think about it before you were born here, where you were? She said no. So there, it was very friendly, because she is an open woman, she is a woman I admire very much. She's respectful, but she's a brilliant and dedicated woman, and then she really takes care of her cases, you know. Now, I'm saying, look, I think if it were possible, no, I'd rather, you know, I like alternative medicines better. She says, I told you, I don't know anything about it. Well, I said, look, we can do it again. Now, she said, I'm going to send you another prescription for a blood test because she said, you're seriously getting leukemia. Alright. And it ended on a good note, she was happy, and then I hope she has a good holiday, but it should come back to her. Laughs. You asked her the essential question. What was I like before was born? Sister, that's it. So that's it. it is necessary to say yes, but the light takes care of the rest. Because it was no. I received confirmation yesterday that this is not the right way to go. So I'm very happy. There you go. Thank you. Applause. Sister, I just want to act that all this was written and then I sent it to friends and then parents, my stepchildren and others, so they would know, and then I even talked about coming here, and then, in any case, I talked a little bit about what we were doing here. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Liz. Sister, thank you, darling. Laughs. Sister, thank you. Next. Sister, I will start with a short question. A question for you. I'd like to know your information about a Beck triad. Do you know what that is? I've heard that expression before, but I can't remember. Sister, I was told it was a heartbreak. Yes. Sister, I got this but I didn't realize it. Because I was very sick. I came down, it's after the heavenly weddings. I have, more control over myself. The celestial weddings, for those who don't know it, it was in 2009. Sister, that's right. It's been 10 years. Sister, I lost weight there. I almost stopped eating. I went down to 57 pounds. There, I found myself as if in a kind of hypothermia, and then I found myself in the hospital. I was brought up with pills and then all kinds of things. My husband was a little upside down. He asked Mikhail for a lot of help and then he helped him a lot. I went back up, I came home, I went back to the hospital, I came back home, but I had some pretty strong drugs. Now, at one point I said, the drugs, I'm stopping it. I go back to my normal life and then it's wonderful, everything's back. Everything has been placed. Today, I feel great. I like to make jokes, I put flowers all over our house. I like to go outside, in nature, I feel at home. When I get inside, I can't breathe. I have to go out into the wild. That's about all I wanted to ask you, to tell you. Then I am glad to be here. That's not bad at all. Applause. Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to remind you, and this has been reiterated by many of the speakers, that in this particular period, nature is essential. Whether it's the birds, the animals, the trees, the forest. Remember that confinement is human society in its entirety. Brother K. Krishnamurti spoke at length about it when he was incarnated through the channelings. Locking up is society. It's not man, it's not nature. This is what we have created within the confinement. And today nature, you were talking about it, so I'll take this opportunity to say it again. If you're lucky enough to have time. But we all have time, an hour or two a week, if only that. Go into the wilderness. Go to the trees, go to the birds, go to the water. That was said by Fairham, even the water in your bathtub. But in nature, it's better. You have phenomenal help from nature. This was explained at length by OMA. The adamantine light, when it started to rush, of course, it went where it was easiest. The trees, by their verticality, are connected to the truth. And, as all people today, who are lucky enough to be able to walk in nature, notice. As soon as we're outside, in the wild, nature is the natural state, in life that is organized beyond all minds. The perfection of life. You will resonate with that. Nature, the peoples of nature, the peoples of water, plants are of considerable help. Because they are in their natural state. It was they, the plants, who first received the adamantine particles when they began to arrive on Earth in 2011 and crystallize. For us, to find the body of eternity. But also for the trees, which are vertical. You have many trees in Quebec, you have water, horizontality, and you have trees. So nature is a great help. You may also know that in Japan, they have created a branch of medicine called silver therapy. Official. Silver therapy is tree therapy. And each tree has its own particular properties. Besides, the Japanese are studying this. Kind of like in the shamanic spirit. We know that this tree represents this totem pole, this energy. With effects, all that is most concrete. Chemistry belongs to society, it belongs to confinement, there is nothing natural about it. The natural state is to find nature too. It means rediscovering the spontaneity of childhood. To regain this total trust, not in you, nor in the other, nor in society, but in the life that you are. And there, gifts reign, graces reign. You have nothing to ask for. You have nothing to hope for, you just have to accept that, and it happens. All the testimonies you have given, over the months and now, are increasingly clear and eloquent in relation to this. Resonate to what is said, let yourself be penetrated by what the brothers and sisters say here, and you will live it in the same way as when Bida starts screaming in the room, or when you do the primary breathing movement, or when OMA expresses itself. Everyone has the opportunity to resonate with each other because, as I said yesterday, we're really and concretely in each other. Really. The other one is just me in another space-time, whose point of convergence is this earth, through form. As Bida said, as OMA said, the whole creation is there, in the middle of our chest. The rest is just a projection. And let us use this majestic nature, plants, animals, everything that is natural. Because there, you will also find yourself, without effort, without asking anything if you're available. If you place yourself, for example, in nature as an observer. Look, smell, feel. Don't try to classify, but be available for what you are watching. It could be bird watching, it could be touching a tree. That's how you found yourself. And certainly not with speeches or vibrations, even if they're still as important as ever, these vibratory rises. But you don't have it anymore, you don't need to take care of it anymore. It is the life that really takes care of it. And it is up to you to demonstrate it to yourself, by living it. Not by conceptualizing or being afraid or asking questions. And what you are living now is what we are all living. Free or not free, in the truth or not in the truth, and well, that is precisely whatever one thinks of it, whatever one is not happy about it. Because it is truth that it is more pleasant not to be sick, not to have a problem than to have one. But it is precisely what is happening to us today, that you have each of you, individually, that we have the most opportunities to find each other. This is the intelligence of light. She doesn't need you. Because you are this intelligence. Real and concrete. In a much more formal way, in a much more tangible way than this character who is nevertheless there, than this form, which is there, which must also be embraced. The more you let go, the freer you are. The more you embrace, the more free you are. And as Liz said earlier, the words come out on their own. There is no need to prepare a speech. The words that are expressed are those that must be expressed. Sister, we are still surprised. And that is fundamental. That's what spontaneity is all about. It means not remembering anything, not thinking anything, not looking for words, but, with the words and vocabulary we have, letting the words flow. This is the testimony that creates this resonance where you begin to be moved, to feel this deep emotion, which is not an emotion related to the ego, but an emotion of the heart, that you are already beginning to live, you see. Yes, Johanna. Sister, 2 minutes. 2 minutes of what? Sister, there are 2 minutes left to stop because it will be 11:45. Ah. We don't have time to talk. What do you want to say? Go ahead. Brother, yesterday, you were talking, nature, if it came to me. It means, what I do, I nourish the love that transforms the unity of the reality of the being. That's right, that's right. Thank you, our poet of letters. So well, we've already passed, it's 1:45, so we're going to take a break. I remind you that this afternoon, after lunch, we said around what time? Sister, 1:30 p.m. 13h30. We will have a first OMA channeling, where if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write them down or come and ask them to the microphone. You'll have to travel. We won't move the microphone, because now it'll be live, I'll announce it. You can ask OMA any questions you want. We will, of course, continue these testimonies tomorrow morning in the second SATSANG, which will also be devoted to this, because there are many who have not yet come to speak. And I assure you that the testimonies that what you express, spontaneously there, are as fully effective as what I could say or any of us could say. That's the magic of the agape resonance. This is the magic of the fire of the Sacred Heart, and this is the truth. So we take a break and resume, at 1:30 p.m. with OMA. Remember, if you have questions to write them down, it will be easier to ask questions. Yes, there will also be oral questions. At that time, I will ask you to move in front of this microphone, that we will turn like that, slightly there, to express what you have to express. All right. Thank you anyway, for the great start. Through Jean-Luc Young. Les Transformations. English Revised Translation. LMF.